I applaud the graduates for taking a much more direct route to your degrees. I'm just happy that the Crimson called me Harvard's most successful dropout. I guess that makes me valedictorian of my own special class. I did the best of everyone who failed. But I also want to be recognized as the guy who got Steve Ballmer to drop out of business school. Harvard was a phenomenal experience for me. Academic life was fascinating. I used to sit in on lots of classes that I hadn't even signed up for. And dorm life was terrific. I lived up at Radcliffe in Courier House because everyone knew that I didn't worry about getting up in the morning. That's how I came to be the leader of the antisocial group. We clung to each other as a way of validating our rejection of all those social people. Radcliffe was a great place to live. There were more women up there, and most of the guys were math science types. The combination offered me the best odds. That's where I learned the sad lesson.
I love learning company courses and things, so I love being a student. They cannot take a book of information and say pass an AP test. That's a solvable problem, but it's a knowledge representation problem. You know, I've always wanted to solve that problem. I'm jealous that maybe one of you gets to work on that. I'm unlikely to go back and be in that way, but it's the juiciest problem ever. I've thought about it for a long time. Then the idea of, okay, it would be very different. The software you needed, the way the industry would work, skip athletics, that I'd go in overnight, that I'd leave the house sometimes, that I wanted to go work for a company writing software. So they were great about allowing that to be my hobby, learning company courses and things. So I loved being a student. And there were smart people around, and they fed you, and they gave you these nice grades that made you feel smart. So I feel it was unfortunate that I didn't get to stay there, but I don't think I missed any knowledge because, whatever I needed to learn, I was still in a learning mode. It's true I could have gone bankrupt, but I had a set of skills that were highly employable, and in fact my parents were still willing to let me go back to Harvard and finish my education if I wanted to. The thing that was scary to me wasn't quitting and starting the company. It was when I started hiring my friends and they expected to be paid. And so then I got this incredibly conservative approach that I wanted to have enough money in the bank to pay a year's worth of payroll, even if we didn't get any payments coming in. When I started Microsoft, I didn't think of it as all that risky. I was so excited about what we were doing, and I'm almost true to that the whole time. We have about 10 billion now, which is pretty much enough for the next year. You're likely to be world class at is whatever you obsessed over from, say, age 12 to 18. In my case, it was writing software, where I would think I was good, and then I would meet somebody who would tell me I wasn't, and I would look at their code, and I went through 4 sort of comeuppances of, oh, that's what a really good programmer looks like. And part of the reason I worshiped digital equipment was eventually it was a couple of their very best programmers who came and shared with me how they thought about it, how they did things. And I had studied their code, and there were several people who were so key to my doing that. So today I would go into software, which today that means going into artificial intelligence. Computers still can't read. They cannot take a book of information and say pass an AP test on that book. And that's a solvable problem, but it's a knowledge representation problem. And I've always wanted to solve that problem. I'm jealous that maybe one of you gets to work on that. I'm unlikely to go back and be hands-on in that way, but it's the juiciest problem ever. I've thought about it for a long time.